Hello and welcome to Innovation with Leadership series by etbfsi.com. In this series, we bring the top voices of the industry who are transforming the financial services with new age technology and innovation. Well, today we have with us someone who possesses over 40 years of experience and is laying down the roadmap for coming years down the line. We have with us Mr. Vishnu R. Dusad, co-founder and MD at Nuclear Software. Hello, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So first thing first, like you have nearly 40 years of experience, and it won't be incorrect to say that 40 years back the financial services space was very different, and at that time having a loan was kind of something that says that you are very rich. But nowadays every single person is having the loan. This is due to the technology. Even the small ticket sizes are also available in forms of just a click away. So how have you seen the transition happening in the last 40 years in the lending space?
It has been a very, very exciting transition, I must say. 40 years back, for that matter 30 years back, even 25 years back, as late as that, retail loan was a luxury. You would never ever get a loan, especially from public sector banks, or for that matter even private sector banks, for an individual. The way the industry ran was the individuals were supposed to make deposits, and the loans would be given to the corporates. And over these decades, we have seen the changes uh, that have brought the loans to the masses the way we experience it today. But having said that, we are still some distance to cover, when it comes to absolutely the bottom of the pyramid. And that is where, the usage of technology will be really, really put to use for the bottom of the pyramid.
Sir, my second question is, following the observation that you have just shared, that bottom of the pyramid, and there is a roadmap that has to be traveled, for the financial services space, and which is, won't be incorrect to say that is not possible without the use and application of technology. So, how do you see the role of technology in bridging the gap, specifically in the access and equity in the financial services domain?
Making financial services access easy and enriching is the vision of our company. And it is essentially with that vision that we are pursuing the roadmap of bringing the cost of lending down. Even today, as we speak in 2025, interest rates of 365% and beyond are not something that have gone away completely. If I wanted to borrow, let's say, 1000 rupees, then what I'll get is 990 rupees in the morning, and by evening I will have to return those 1000 rupees back, in turn paying 1% rate of interest for a day, which converts into 365% rate of interest. And this is a rate of interest when we look at people like us who can afford those loans. This is a rate of interest which is very, very, very high, and it is a technology which will bring the cost down. Now, with public digital infrastructure being in place and the number of transactions, digital transactions going reach over next 2-3 years, reaching a mark of billion transactions per day, we would be able to put those transactions to use, the data generated from those transactions, for creating profit and loss statements of, let's say, a vegetable vendor. Because hopefully in next couple of years, the percentage of transactions would reach 80-90%. Percentage of digital transactions would reach 80-90%. And when that happens, your ability to make use of those transactions in creating so-called profit and loss statement of for the day for that let's say vegetable vendor, your capability goes up, and that is how you would be able to make loans available to the poorest of the poor at rates which are somewhat far more reasonable than 365% that they have to pay today.
Sir, we discussed about the accessibility of the lending to the lower masses, and in fact the other availability to the masses at large that we are having in the current scenario. But one menace that we have is the risk and cyber security, because fraudsters are also coming into the picture, and banks are going more and more digital. But they, for that they need a a strong mechanism to hold the journey of this technological use of the tools. So how do you see this these threats, and what can be done to to chop out or cut down all this risks that are coming into the lending picture?
A very, very important question, and very critical to the discussion that we are having. Um, while we are moving very steadily in the direction of creating billion transactions per day, the risk has also increased, I must say, and that is where the latest technologies like artificial intelligence are being put to use to make sure that the perpetrators are caught early, or are to begin with identified by making use of the patterns originating from a particular source, patterns reaching particular destinations, and combination of IT, um, telecom, and banking. All these three industries coming together are going to make sure that we are able to get signals about a fraud about to happen ahead of the fraud actually happening, and even when it is about to happen, when it happens, the speed with which all the three players will come together and move would make sure that the perpetrators are identified early, and we are able to make sure that they are caught. Today, unfortunately, we have to say that 90-95% of the perpetrators are not being traceable, but only when we are able to put AI to use, and home ministry, finance ministry, telecom ministry, they come together and create solutions which would address these challenges. We would be able to create an environment which is robust, reliable, and we cannot say zero fraud, but minimal frauds.
So talking about the technological aspects and the development that are happening in the lending space, if I say a couple of decades back, ATM came into the picture. It was thought to be a transformation, or a game changing setup that was introduced. Then now we are talking about the UPI, and with the time they are getting old. I mean, it's not, we cannot say that okay, this is something that we have achieved and it is going to be there for a very long period, because every year, or you can say every day, transformations and new developments are happening in terms of technology. So with new tools and techniques coming into the picture like artificial intelligence and machine learning, what is your suggestion and observation for the lenders to harness these tools in a smart lending solutions?
No, absolutely, you're right. ATMs would have come in being in 60s, and by 2025 they are almost getting extinct. And likewise, UPI, it has really caught on in last decade, and of course we can hope that it will last for another decade at least. In a similar manner, ULI, which is uh, Reserve Bank's RBI's initiative, will really make a change to the lending scenario, because whole lot of data that has been digitized is being made available by ULI, and through that, ability of banks to leverage this data and make sure that they are able to lend without too much of risk uh, goes up very substantially. All the records about properties, they are getting digitized. Some properties may be small, some properties may be much more expensive, but every single property is getting digitized, and that is a huge boon for a lender. because then they can, in case of default, they can tap onto the property as a security. In a similar manner, as we earlier talked, the transactions, the day-to-day transactions themselves are getting are in the process of getting digitized heavily, and through that the lenders would be able to assess what is the amount an individual can borrow, and in a timely manner and in a effective manner, and loans, small loans, 1,000 rupee loans, 2,000 rupee loans could be made available at the rate of interest that the borrower is comfortable with. So, this is how we can see very exciting time, I would say, ahead. You know, over next couple of decades, we can visualize just the way things have moved in last 4 decades from 100 crore loans to, let's say, 10,000 rupee loan. We can visualize the loan sizes coming down to as less as 500 rupees or 100 rupees, depending upon the need, and yet being profitable for the lending industry.
So we talked about the coming years and how the digital transformation is going to happen in the lending scape. I would like to know from you that what role Nucleus software is going to play in building the digital lending system in coming years down the line. And you can also give us a brief that how you are helping the banks and transforming the BFSI space.
Excellent question. What I would like to talk about is how we have understood the domain, the banking and financial services domain, to the depth, and that deep understanding how we are putting it to use by developing simultaneously equally deep understanding about the latest technology. We feel that our role is to leverage technology for the banking and financial services industry, and by understanding the latest in the technology domain, we are able to come up with solutions which are unimaginable, and that is what we have been doing now for 40 years, and going in coming decades we will continue to do the same. One of the most important things that is going to happen in immediate future is hyper personalization in terms of lending. What that means is, depending upon my credentials as a borrower, depending upon whether I am able to earn couple of hundred rupees a day, and as low as amounts as low as that, I would be able, the bank would be should be able to lend me at the rate of interest as we have been talking, which are affordable, and that would be possible through hyper personalization, through artificial intelligence. Likewise, the communication to me as a borrower would start happening in my own language and using my device. Hopefully the 600 million devices that we have, 600 million smartphones that we have, will further increase, and even at the bottom of the pyramid I will be able to have a device where the bank would be able to communicate with me in my language. Even to date, despite RBI's efforts, substantial percentage of the communication still is in English, which as a borrower I would not be able to understand. But going forward, in very near future, we would be able to see that my bank is speaking to me in my own language, whether it is Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi, Assamese, Bangla, whichever. And in fact, it will go to the next, and in the next level, it will go to the specific dialect that I speak. That is the level of hyper personalization that we can visualize happening in fact years to come, not even decades to come, and that is what will change the banking industry drastically. We were earlier dealing with, let's say, top let's say 10 to 20% of the population with Jan Dhan Trinity. we that percentage moved to, let's say, 60-70%, and over next I would say 2, 3, 5 years, I would not be surprised if all 100% of the population is able to uh, uh, you know benefit from the access that is being created through public digital infrastructure.
Certainly, sir, and I think we will also look into this space, and we are hopeful that this 100% goal is achieved, as soon as it is possible. But one question that I would like to put up to you is on the regulatory side. How do you see the role of regulator evolving with the technological developments that are happening? Because if we see at the RBI circulars and all, then there are many circulars which are coming. I won't go into the detail, but yeah, they are certainly coming to put a curb or pushing the entity. So how do you see the role evolving of the regulator?
I think regulators' role in this changed ecosystem becomes even more important, much more important. And talking about the number of circulars that you talked about, we were in a Middle East country recently, and the person who was representing the banking industry, he talked about one circular that they used to come, the central bank used to come out with in a month, and he said now we are sorry, in a year, some such timeline, and now he's talked about that number going up by 2 orders of magnitude. He said now we are talking about 100 circulars. So this is while it is a very big challenge for the industry, uh, but given the changes that are happening, this is something we feel that is almost necessity, because unless the regulator comes up with regulation which would address all the loopholes, and as the technology evolves, the loopholes will also keep increasing. So unless those loopholes are plugged in time, the challenges would be just too many, and that is where I must compliment RBI for the quality of regulation that it is creating, uh, and not just regulation, it is also playing a very important role as a regulator which is encouraging innovation. So with the number of bodies that RBI has set up to create to encourage innovation, I think compliments are due to them. And with this innovation on one side and an effective regulation on another side, RBI is playing a very important role, and we can say that we are in safe hands.
Certainly, and glad to know from an expert voice like you on the regulated side. Now, I would like to understand from you, sir, that the Indian fintechs are also rising very rapidly, and specifically in the last 5 to 6 years or 7 years, if we see, then they are on a rise, and so much so that more and more fintechs are going towards acquiring the NBFCs and increasing their geographical presence as well. So, as a technology company, how do you see this, and do you see them as a competitor, or do you see that there is scope of collaboration, and how do you overall visualize this picture?
Fintechs are a big boon to the economy, to the ecosystem. The amount of innovation that is taking place is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, we take pride in saying that we are among the first few fintechs of the country, set up 4 decades back. So, talking about technology providers and fintechs, there is an intense collaboration that is taking place, and through this collaboration, the advances that we talked about are being possible. So I see this to be this collaboration to increase more and more, and in the process benefit the masses in years to come. That is how I am looking at it, and not just in India. Our fintechs are now taking the technology overseas also, and that is how we are creating an ecosystem which is which in fact rest of the industry outside India is wanting to emulate. Thanks to what we have been able to achieve out of UPI, there are any number of developing countries who want to implement the same technology, and along with UPI, this entire ecosystem will also travel, and it's a very proud moment. If we can be of help to any of other countries.
Well, sir, one more thing I would like to understand from you, that you mentioned about the 100% penetration and reaching the bottom of the pyramid. So, talking about the rural masses, I would like to understand that how do you see the challenge in terms of digital literacy for them, because we are coming with new innovative tools in the banking space, and banking space is something which the people are very protective, even if we talk about the metro cities, but now we are dealing with the rural masses and the bottom of the pyramid. So, how do you see this overall? Is it a challenge, or what needs to be done to make them more and more digital literate and capable in terms of banking and financial services?
Very, very important point you raised. My take on this is that we do need to do much more than what we are doing to increase the digital literacy, and when we do that, our ability to help them save themselves from frauds will go up substantially. Today, the education is happening more, in my mind, more on peer to peer basis, which is just fine, but we need to take that to the next level, where this education, this literacy for digital financial services needs to be taken up in a much more intense manner by again, I would say, entire government will need to come together, again, Home Ministry, Finance Ministry, Telecom Ministry, Information and Broadcasting Ministry, all of them will have to play a very intense role in educating the rural masses, for that matter the urban masses also. Not that educated people are not getting frauded, there is enough fraud there also. So, the education level needs to go up very substantially in across the country, and that is how we will be able to reduce the number of frauds that are taking place as of today.
Well, thank you so much, sir. I think I'm done with my question, and thank you so much for giving your valuable time and sharing all the valuable thoughts with us.
Thank you so much, Vikas.